Well, this is our dude. This is our 75th episode.
What is that?
This is our 75th episode of Film Reverie. The amazing thing is that just a couple months ago, we were only at 54 when we'd taken all that time off from making the movie. Now we're up to 75. So we've released over 20 episodes in the last since November.
It seems like a lot.
Believe it or not, after 75 episodes, we still talked about a couple of things that we've never talked about on this show before.
Oh, yeah.
Grant writing a little bit, and also getting people drunk to finance your film.
Yeah. You remember I showed you the ice cream? You're like,
yeah, the ice cream, but the ice cream's not going to spoil. I might forget. I forgot about the ice cream, but that was a matter of convenience. Like, I needed to forget that was in there.
I think there's 2 more spoonfuls left because I've been steadily going in there.
Yeah. Well, I might have some this weekend. The stress eating is about to begin.
Okay, what are you stressed about?
We're moving.
I thought you were excited and happy.
I am, but it's still stressful.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm moving with you. Like, what do you think?
Oh. Wow, it's got, like, computerized everything. I've never been in a computerized house.
Yeah, because you've been living in the, hey, what room can we put Brad in room for 6 or 7 years?
No, more than that. That's, like, half my life at this point.
You've been living in a cupboard under the stairs like Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you have any magical powers, bitch?
Dude, I just realized I'm the elf. What are they called?
You just realized that? I call you that all the time.
What's
the house elf. Dobby. Dobby the house elf.
I'm Dobby.
And here's the thing. You don't take a hint because I gave you a sock and you still haven't gone away. You know how you give them clothing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I gave you a sock. Leave.
I've got nowhere else to go.
You're free. Dobby, go away. Here's a sock. You want another sock? I'll give you a matching pair.
That would be better.
Bye.
But if I'm Dobby, then I'm also very magical, right? I can get pissed off and, like...
Not that I've noticed.
Turn you into a pig or something.
Yeah. If that were true, I'd like to see it, but... I sense no magic coming from you at all.
I sense no potential in you whatsoever.
Yeah, I sense no potential. I've thought long and hard about this, and nope. Not gonna happen.
So your blanket response to me for anything is, yeah. I dare you. That's your response to me. Like, any threat I give you, it's like, I dare you.
I could just hold my arm out, and you do that thing where kids swing.
That's stupid. I could go for your lower extremities.
Yeah, but you can't reach. My arm is longer than your reach.
Dude, you can't... You'd have to bend over. If I got down...
If it got too close, I could use my leg and drop kick your ass across the room.
Well, then I would just roll on the floor away. And then...
And hurt your back.
And then
you wouldn't. You would be like... Ah! Oh! Oh! Oh!
I can't deny the possibility that at any moment I could injure myself.
On nothing. On nothing. At nothing. Hey, what happened? I don't know. My back just spazzed out, Oh!
It'd be like a Mortal Kombat thing with you on one side, on the other, and it says, fight! And then we start walking towards each other, and then I just collapse on the ground. Oh! And then it goes, fatality.
Okay, everybody, quiet on the set.
Film Reverie Podcast. It's episode 75, I guess?
And action. Hello, Film Reverie listeners. This is Michael Beckemeyer, and as always, I am joined by...
the Ewok with the bald spot.
Balding Ewok, yes. Bradley Kingston. And today we have the filmmaking duo of Mr. Pictures, which is a great production company title, by the way. Can I have it? Josh Riedford, right?
I got it.
I got it right. Okay. And Dave McKracken, who has one of the coolest last names I've heard in a really long time, who are here to talk about filmmaking with us. Yeah, he's nodding.
I'm just waiting for the moment where I get to say, "Okay, release the McKracken," and then he starts talking.
You heard him say the puns are leave a lot to be desired a lot of the times, right? You pulled out the oldest
I just had
shit.
to do it.
Yeah. Okay, he's done now.
Get it out of your system now, and then we'll...
he either really, like I said, he either really loves his last name or hates it because of all the jokes. Yeah.
I would love it.
All right, so I think I stumbled across you guys on Twitter. Somehow I saw the trailer or a tweet somebody put out about your film Bullit County. Mm-hmm. And
incorrectly spelled.
Well, it's because it's not about bullets.
Oh, okay.
You dumb fuck. And then so tell us a little bit about you guys and how you got started working, how you came to be together, and about your movie and all that stuff, and we'll go from there.
This is David McKracken, the writer-director of Bullit County. Josh and I have known each other since high school in Indiana, so we've known each other a long time. And it's kind of one of those boy meets world scenarios where we just kept following each other through various stages of life. So we went to the same college after that, independent of each other. Ended up being roommates, ended up also traveling abroad to England together. And obviously from the same hometown and being best friends, we would do kind of annual, semi-annual, like big backpacking trips with a couple of other friends. Then we'd kind of like work on little short films here and there. And then it was a couple of years ago where, he was working, doing some stuff in Evansville, Indiana, where we're from. I was, in LA doing post work. And we basically got together one Christmas and we're like, hey, you want to start a production company and do this full time and do it for real? So that's how Bullit County came about.
Cool. So is this your guys' first, like, Mr. Pictures feature film?
Yeah. This is our first film officially as Mr. Pictures. We had done a smaller one several years back where we kind of got our teeth on it. It was a much lower budget kind of found footage thing. But it's you got to get your start somewhere. But Bullit County is really what is our premiere film as Mr. Pictures.
So how did you guys come up with a production company name? I like it. I really do. I think the logo is perfect. It's great.
Yeah, they got a motion logo and everything. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I mean, we
put a lot of time in. I mean, the logo says a lot about you. We actually did put a lot of time and thought into coming up with that. It's actually the Mr. part of it is a combination of our last names, McKracken and Riedford.
Nice.
And so we had gone through a whole slew of different options, using letters from our names and one day it was just kind of like that just came out and it was like, that's it. That's the name right there. And and it stuck. So
we came up with Super Mega Ultra. So
nice.
Yeah. But
like the Kanye West song, Bigger, Faster, Stronger.
Right? Yeah, right. Except neither one of us are raging lunatics.
I have raging anger.
You do, right? Yeah. So
you got to be a little bit raging if you want to be a filmmaker. I mean, it kind of comes with it.
I always tell people
Zen motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm a Zen motherfucker, but yeah. The least Zen I ever am is like on set when
around me. I bring it out.
Yeah.
I bring the motherfucker out.
I get transported back to it every time. But yeah. So tell us about your movie. How did it come about? How did you get as detailed as you want or be as vague as you want about how you raised money?
The trailer was really good.
Finance for it and everything. It looks great. I mean, production quality and all the way down to seems like an interesting story also that doesn't give away too much in the trailer, which is great.
Well, David, I can at least start. Feel free to jump in.
For it.
David kind of set it up a little bit, talking about sort of our background. This we wanted to make our first film about stuff that we know and about stuff that we love, that we're very passionate about. And so the idea kind of came about. We spent I don't remember if it was a summer. it was over the course of about a year, and we would visit a bunch of the different bourbon distilleries in Kentucky, and we, it's just a great thing to do anyway, and we both just really love bourbon, and so it kind of grew out of this idea of wanting to do something about bourbon and about the Bourbon Trail, and infuse it with other things that we love, like backpacking or camping. And there's a character in the film. The story of Bullit County is that there's these 4 friends that go out into the bluegrass bourbon trail of Kentucky and for a bachelor party, and they hear about this legend of buried Prohibition money that's buried somewhere out in rural Kentucky, and so they go off in search of that, and things kind of, turn to shit as they do when you go out in the woods looking for buried treasure. But so you've got the lead character who's the groom, it's his bachelor party, and David actually plays the character who's the best man, and that's also a little close to home because he was the best man at my wedding, which coincidentally happened about 3 months before we started Mr. Pictures.
Really?
And so there's just a lot of very personal stuff in it that we wanted to just go back to Indiana and shoot stuff that's familiar to us and things that we know and love.
Yeah.
I want to ask a quick question.
Well, say write what you know. So
yeah. So we have what was it, an LLC and Broken Sunsets, the LLC. Well, I noticed that some people, it's a common practice to create an LLC for each and every movie.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, do you guys, like, is Mr. Pictures an LLC, or do you make one for each movie? How do you have that set up?
We went with the philosophy that each film should be its own LLC, but then we also have Mr. Pictures as a separate entity,
right.
and essentially every LLC that we create for each new film is just a subsidiary of Mr. Pictures, and so
for insurance purposes.
For insurance purposes, and it just kind of keeps all the different pieces separate, so that one film isn't affecting stuff in another film. And then by David and I owning Mr. Pictures, it kind of allows us to oversee all of them, while still having a bit of a separation between us and the film specifically.
I guess I need to study bourbon more, because I didn't even know there was a bourbon trail in Tennessee. So what is an actual, like,
back
when
in Prohibition?
You referred to it as the Bourbon Trail, is that like from way back, or is that like a historical, like, hiking trip that people take?
No, the Bourbon Trail, I don't know. A lot of states are doing them now. We were doing the Kentucky one, and
Kentucky. I don't know what I said.
But a lot of states are doing it now since bourbon's pretty popular. It's really just like a wine trail. Like you basically get kind of a bunch of distilleries together, and they're all kind of. I think they have to like pay dues, or so they're part of the marketing material. But Kentucky has actually 2 trails. They've got their big ones that have, you've got like Jim Beam and Four Roses and Woodford and that kind of thing. And then they have the craft distillery tour. That's kind of the smaller, more upstarts. And that one actually in some ways is more interesting because you get to go to the distilleries when they're just starting out. So, some of them don't even have bourbon yet because it has to age. So they've basically, like, they're doing rum or vodka or something just to kind of like get the ball rolling while the bourbon ages. And so that's really fun because you get to go like see people doing it in their garages and things like that, and really learn about the process. Yeah. Whereas the bigger ones, they're kind of more, Disney-fied. They've got their whole veneer and they've got their tours. You don't really get to, you only see what they want you to see. Whereas the crafts tours, you get to really see it.
So what's the trail about? Is it like where people do a beer hop or whatever and they go to different bars? Or I'm kind of...
it's visiting the distilleries. So you get to, if you get to do tastings and you get to visit and see how the bourbon's made. And they all have their kind of different flares. Like, so if you go to the Maker's Mark one, they have their assembly line where they do the red wax on the top.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to see them do that. But the Kentucky ones are a little different because... the distilleries take up so much space because they have to have these big, what's called rick houses, which is where they store these barrels. And so they generally have to have a lot of property, and they're all spread out throughout Kentucky. So it's impossible to do the trail in one day. A lot of it is like you'd have to do hotels or something. But Josh and I, since we lived in southern Indiana at the time, we could kind of drive, do a few one day, and then, a couple weeks later do a couple more. So, but yeah, it's all spread out throughout the state.
Yeah, so it's kind of a misnomer because it's not really a trail per se. It's more of like a string of distilleries that you can kind of visit, and they're all connected through the idea of this cohesive trail. So they kind of operate together.
So is your film a thriller genre? What is it? Where does it fall into?
Yeah, it's an action thriller. It's set in the 70s.
Okay. Set in the 70s.
Okay.
So
it's it's a throwback.
So you guys did a period piece, which is
more expensive.
Yeah. So just talk about getting it made. Talk about getting your film made.
I guess. Well, it started, like Josh said, and like you guys said, writing what you know a little bit.
Yeah.
In this case, it was, the material obviously hit close to home. But really what we did was we said, okay, what do we have to work with? I think a smart thing for a lot of starting filmmakers to do is basically see what you have to work with on the practical end, like what locations you can film at, cheaply, efficiently. And so we started there, really, like just kind of almost in a way limiting ourselves. That's Josh and I found that's the best way we work is if you start with just kind of anything's possible, then you start losing direction. But if you box yourself in with limitations, like say, okay, we are definitely going to film in this area during this time of year and this amount of days, or it starts kind of forcing you to make more creative decisions. And so with this one, it was really just like making sure that we could film everything cheaply, while at the same time making it look expensive. And so a lot of that grew from doing it in southern Indiana and Kentucky, which is a place we're very familiar with. Yeah. It's not, but it looks it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wondering what camera you used because it looks really good.
What'd you guys shoot?
It was the Alexa Mini.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah. So, is it a lot of out in the woods sort of stuff, or
a lot of it?
It seems like it's out in the
kind of a good mix. I mean, our production was kind of. I like to think of it broken up into quarters. We had about a quarter of it that we shot in the woods, which I think a lot more screen time ends up being in the woods, but we just shot that a lot faster. And then we spent about a quarter of it at this farmhouse, kind of way out in rural Indiana, which was one of the really more prominent set pieces. That was just a lot of fun a lot of just really cool things that we shot there. And then we shot, there's a lot of the establishing stuff, getting the 70s feel. There's a small town called New Harmony in southern Indiana that we shot there. We did a lot of interior and exterior stuff there with a winery and a bar and an antique shop and all of the exterior, like downtown kind of stuff. So that took up about a quarter of the shoot, and then there was about a quarter that was just all the other things that don't really fit into one of those other three categories. Right. But we really, we made the most out of spaces that we knew that we could get. Because again, being from the area, like David said, we sort of just knew what we were going to have, and we could kind of go from there. But yeah, it's got quite a varied visual landscape.
Did you guys did you shoot all in one block of time, or did you shoot it over a period of time, or did you shoot 20 days in whatever, or did?
Yeah, we shot over the course of 30 days. It was 26 days on 4, and
That's
did that
good.
for. Yeah, the primary reason it was almost entirely cast and crew from LA, so flying them back and forth would have been impossible. And then we had to shoot in a very specific window for autumn, and make sure that it didn't get too cold. We had to have all the leaves on the trees and golden browns and everything like that. So we pretty much wrapped right before Thanksgiving. So we, had that to contend with as well.
Thanksgiving 2018?
That would have been 2016.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, 2016. Yeah. Okay, I was about to say, you guys got it turned around pretty quick.
We did finish the film within a year. It was a quick turnaround, but it was on the festival circuit for a very long time,
Nice.
and then distribution takes forever and all that stuff. So
Right.
it's a long process, as you guys know.
Right. So you guys shot it, wrote it, shot it, got it in the can, post-production, and then did a festival run. How many festivals did you hit? And
well, it must have cost money.
I think the final festival count was, just shy of 20 We started off.
I mean, congratulations! It's hard to get.
Thank you. Yeah, no, the festival run really is a lot of fun, and a very rewarding part of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's. I mean, we kind of always thought that it would be a very strong festival film. And it took a little bit to get it started. We had our world premiere down in Austin at the Austin Film Festival. Basically, almost exactly a year after we had wrapped production. So that was kind of a cool landmark to have that. And then it was just sort of it was quiet for a few months, and then it really started to pick up the following spring, and then that it kind of snowballed, and that was like summer of 2000. What that been in 2018? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, summer of 2018 was it's very exciting. We went to as many as we could. But it's just, it's a great way to kind of get the film out there and get some fans and that kind of thing.
Yeah, building on it. Did your festival run lead into distribution, or was like a separate? Did that happen separately, or did it happen because of?
It's a little bit of both, but mostly they were independent of each other, but they overlapped a lot.
Yeah.
So we were going into, we were meeting with distributors while we were on the festival circuit. So I seem to remember that we pretty much finalized the deal about the time that our festival run ended. But that just happened to be, coincidental. I'm sure it helped for them to see that we were active on the festival circuit.
Yeah.
But they were definitely independent. Like, we didn't get approached at a festival for distribution or anything. That was entirely separate.
Nice.
I'm wondering, what was your post-production plan, I guess? I mean, like, the festival run, I'm sure you must have put aside a chunk of money to get into that many festivals, but also, going from there to distribution. I'm just wondering, what was your plan, and then how did it end up? How did you end up getting distribution? Did it work the way you planned?
Yeah, so the big thing with post, because, as you guys know, these movies already take a long time, and if you don't keep that train constantly moving, if it slows down at all, it becomes that much harder to gather everybody up and bring everybody back for ADR or whatever it might be. If you run out of money, it's hard to bring an editor back or something. So I had been a post-production manager at Robert Rodriguez's El Rey network for a couple years, so
Nice.
I was.
Oh God, that's a whole other conversation. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Cool.
But it was, obviously, like, being on that side of things with post. I was adamant that not only would we have everybody in post brought on board as early as possible, like during pre-production, so that they could give their 2 cents. But also that we would be doing post while we were shooting. So, from day one, once we had footage, we were uploading it, and our editor in LA was already working. And so that kind of dovetailed, obviously, into, the trailers and that kind of thing. Like, he was cutting the trailers. He's a trailer editor by trade. This was his first feature. But he was cutting the trailers while he was cutting the movie. And so it allowed everything to get done very quickly, but also it's just of a practical thing. Like, you want post to be going while you're shooting, because if they catch something like, oh, you guys need coverage. You need to, especially for us, we didn't have pickups. We were in Indiana and Kentucky, so we were not coming back. So it was very helpful. And as you're seeing cuts of scenes while you're shooting, I know me as the director, I started getting an idea of, maybe here we need to pick up the pace a little bit more. We didn't need to shoot it the way that we had planned. So that's one thing that I would highly advise anybody to do if you can is start cutting picture while you're shooting, because it's only going to help, and it just speeds up the cut, because by the time we were done shooting, I think it was 2 months later, we had a locked cut and we were doing sound, and we had from shooting to completion of the film, it was much less than a year. So it was a very fast process.
If you can't talk about it or can't be too detailed, that's okay. But how did you guys raise money? Did you go independent investors, or did you self-finance or a Kickstarter, or
It was a little combination of all those things. We started off trying to find just private individual investors, and this is not really giving anything away, but part of how we did that, because the film was about bourbon, we would essentially host these bourbon tastings. And,
I thought it was about to get a lot weirder. I thought it was a lot weirder. Since it's about bourbon,
Get them drunk, let them write us a check. Yeah,
exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
We'd invite
our next
people,
movie is going to be about whiskey.
So we do some bourbon tasting and then show one of our short films and then kind of pitch the movie that way. So that was kind of what started things off.
That's a really good idea.
How many drunken parties did you throw to raise money for your film? Four.
I
somehow feel like we'd have to throw like 30 of those to get even.
Yeah, it's like, who's going to say no to free alcohol? I mean,
you get into an issue there. Somebody's like, yeah, this has been really good. I think if you had another one of these, I might consider getting out my checkbook again.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of how we got things started. Then we were fortunate enough to get a grant from the state of Indiana. They have some really great arts grants there. And so we managed to snag one of those prior to
that's another show too, asking just about grant writing for film.
Did you have someone walk you through that process, or did you guys just figure out? How
did you guys Google grant writing? It's hard. I know.
I know it's 2 words.
It does help that David's background is creative writing, so. I did
a lot of grants in my day.
Okay, good. Yeah.
But no, we didn't really have it. That we, like every other part of the filmmaking process with us, we kind of just tackle it head on and do a little bit of research. But it's kind of just writing the best proposal that you can to make the product that you're pitching sound as good as possible. And
can I ask? Or go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say it is helpful as much as you can. Like we kind of did this, but on our next movie, we're definitely doing this, which is when you're starting out, before you're like really getting heavy into grants and stuff, you kind of know the things that they're going to want. Like generally, they're going to want obviously logline, summaries, director's statement, artist statements, bios, all that nitty gritty stuff that we've started finding through the process with Bullit County. Was the more of that we had up front, the easier it became to fill out grants and to just get people material that they might need for investors, things like that, because it's all the same stuff generally. I mean, they might all ask slightly different questions, like if it's a cinematography grant versus a post grant. But generally, you can tailor the same answers to those various grants, and it just becomes easier instead of like whole cloth redoing all of the grant information that you're giving for each single one. And so it's nice to have like that well of information that you've already drawn up, because then you can just kind of augment it and change it however you need it and tailor it to specific grants instead of just doing everything whole cloth.
I have to know, for me and everyone listening out there, where do you start with that? Like, where do I go to find out if my
where'd you
state
even
has...
find out what grant you wanted to apply for, that sort of thing?
Don't know anything. How would we do that?
Most states have film commissions, right? So that's a good place to start. They're usually pretty good resources.
Yeah,
cool.
And there's also, I mean, there's a lot of really good film blogs out there. I mean, I honestly, I think just Googled film grants, and I mean, there's so many people that they obviously have. A lot of them end up being out of date and that kind of thing, and then there's always new ones. But it really is just kind of a Google search and then doing a lot of digging. There's also, I know that our local library in Evansville, where I was at the time, they had a database at the library that had grants of everything imaginable. I remember sitting there a couple days just slogging through everything imaginable.
That'd be very helpful to see. Yeah,
that'd be great. We could use the grant.
Yeah, well, we could
use $50.
We have another one we're doing. We can try it.
But it's also, I mean,
it's
one of those things that you just, we probably applied for 6 different grants and only got the one. It's really just continuing to put it out there, and we do that with all of our projects, films and otherwise, because there is money out there and somebody's going to get it. So it's, it takes time to do it, and obviously, like David said, getting the materials together, and each grant is a little different. And I will say they don't necessarily make it easy, but they put a lot of resources for the grant on their website. So, they'll have webinars that you can go on, and they have anytime you can find past people that have won that grant in the past and look at what they submitted and what kind of things are normally getting those grants and the kind of materials that they've submitted. Anything like that you can sort of then help tailor your project to what that specific place is looking for. That always helps.
A lot of it is thinking about who would benefit from your movie. So obviously, if you're shooting in a specific state and you're showing off the state, they could benefit because they're getting people employed and they're showing off their state. But a lot of it too is just kind of what are the elements of your movie? What's your movie about? And then you can start looking for grants that are related to that in some way. So it actually becomes pretty fun thinking about. It's a great way to initially start thinking about who is your audience and who's going to be interested in this movie. And if you can, the more specific you can get with those answers, then usually those same answers are, well, maybe there's a grant for that. Maybe there's some kind of organization that has some kind of grant. And like you guys know, even if 1,000 here, 1,000 there, it adds up very quickly.
Hell yeah. It's funny because we talk about this a lot together, and then on our show, when I woke up one day, when I saw Cape Fear, the Scorsese Cape Fear back in the late 80s, and fell in this, I decided, fuck, I want to make movies like that. I didn't say, hopefully I'll get to write a grant one day so I can raise money for my movie. You know what I mean? You really just want to be creative and make stuff up, tell stories, manipulate people's emotions and make people feel stuff and stuff like that. But the fucking hoops you got to jump through just to get a single shot out, taken is insane. And I've never had to learn more about so many other things other than filmmaking just to make a movie than when I was
social media, web design, grant writing,
PR, promotions, marketing. When I was a musician, I started out as a musician because I wanted to be a film composer. I don't know if I ever told you that. I think I probably did. But I wasn't, and I realized I wasn't very good at it. I can't imagine needing to be as jack of all trades so I could have played the trumpet for as a career as I would saying I'm a filmmaker. It's crazy. How that falls into place, but you really do every time you learn something that even if you've made 20 films, there's something that comes up this time that that hasn't come up before, like writing a grant or trying to figure out how to get Brad to shut up or something like that. It's something new every time. It's never ending.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny because I think the more jack of all trades you are, it not only helps on that side of things, it helps make the filmmaking process more efficient because you're kind of approaching it from a bunch of different angles, and it makes it that much easier when you're dealing with different departments for them not to BS you and to say, hey, I actually don't think it would take this long, or help them come up with a creative workaround. Like at film school at USC, one of the big complaints we all had as students there was, geez, there's so much bureaucracy. Like they're making us fill out a form for this and this and this. But then you get out and you realize, oh, that was great training because it is nothing but bureaucracy in every form that you can possibly imagine. Yeah.
There's a paperwork or a form for it.
Yeah, the creative side is incidental at a certain point.
You know, you guys are, I feel like you guys are a little younger than me. I'm 45, but I teach high school TV production. That's what my day job is. Mm-hmm. And I can't get them to put their name on their project, let alone fill out a piece of paperwork. They're in for a rude awakening. I have about 4 or 5 students every couple of years who really they decide they're going to go to film school, and every time I talk to them, it's like I see what you were saying, Beckemeyer, about this, and this, and this, but it's just it's baffling. The first time I did something for that was SAG, it was and I wasn't producing that one, but so I wasn't the one really doing the paperwork. But I'm like just to do SAG paperwork took my producing partner there's a huge learning curve just to figure out how to do it the first time, and she'd never done it before either. It's crazy, and that's just one part of it. And there's 1,000 other parts that you have to fill out some fucking form for, just so you can say put the little SAG thing on the end of your thing,
That's why it's funny when you watch movies with somebody who's not familiar with making movies, and they comment at the end credits and they go, "How does it take this many people to make a movie?" And you go, "Well, it does." You just
it does. The Batsuit Wrangler. One of the funniest credits I ever saw once was the Batsuit Wrangler. It was the guy who was in charge of wrangling the Batsuits back and forth to set.
It's a hell of a job.
And it's that guy had the coolest job ever. It's like, I get to play with the Batsuit every day. But yeah, they don't get it, and they don't get that those people who stood there and held a cable for whatever made the movie too. Too.
Yeah, I think that's the special part about making movies is I can't think of a single discipline or art form or anything that uses literally every single job out there. I mean, everything from medics to chefs to accountants, attorneys. I mean, you name it, and there's a job for you in film. It's pretty remarkable.
My favorite, when I fell in love with production, like I said, I saw Cape Fear and decided I really wanted to go make movies, and that was the movie that made me want to make movies. And but I didn't know anything about it, so I got on set. I went to school and did this stuff, and where it clicked for me was suddenly you might take something 10 times, but on that 10th time you got 20 people standing around who all come in at the same time, and it clicks. And that's the take, you know what I mean? Everybody does their job perfectly that time, and it snaps into place, and the collaboration really brings it home. That's the part that really brought it home for me, where I was like, look at this, it's like a community effort. I don't think a lot of times the crew always sees it like that. I think they look at the director tell that guy he's not Martin Scorsese. But I really do look at it. I do look at it look, we're all here. Like our feature film, we literally had 5 people on set, and that was our biggest day of crew. We had me, him, and he's half a person. He's 1.5 men, and we had our DP. That's the thing. I got to get it in on every podcast.
Time.
Had our DP, who was a former student of mine, because our original DP bailed on us. Had life happen, and he couldn't do it anymore. About 2-3 days before our production, and there were 4 of us, and the 4 of us worked that shit out for 9 days, and it was hard, but I really do. You do feel like you went to battle with those people, because they were there with you at 4:00 in the morning when everybody just wanted to go home, but we needed one more shot, and then you still didn't get out there until 7 a.m. That sort of thing.
Yeah. And the job, Josh and I, Josh's producer and me as director, it's as you guys know, it becomes about like the main job is trying to just make sure that all these people who are tunnel visioned, and rightly so, on their specific department, that everybody's making the same movie and in all that entails. And so you start feeling schizophrenic at times because you're dealing with a million different things, and one thing might be, okay, let's decide creatively, where to put the camera, and then also we need to deal with SAG or whatever.
Right. And we're supposed to have lunch. So you guys work together. You're best friends. You've been together for a long time. So I've known him for 25 years. We have worked together on. I made most of my good things without you. But,
yeah.
but,
most of the films we made together.
Right. But it is a weird combination. It's like it's like brothers almost, but it is hard working with. It's weird because it's like it's great working with somebody that knows exactly what you're thinking because they've heard you talk about this for 25 years, but also it's a struggle because there is like sibling rivalry from time to time, like the hiccups and the just like personality defects that this guy has particularly. And
you have to do all the work.
Yeah. So how did you guys navigate that with your your relationship as friends for however long you've been friends, but also being business partners?
I think at the end of the day, I don't know if we ever really talk about this, but I think when it comes down to it, we don't ever let anything infringe upon our friendship. Like that comes first, and then all decisions kind of trickle down from there. And I think that helps, that informs most of the decisions that we make and the way that we approach everything. Because we were friends first, and I don't think either one of us want to make that crumble. So, obviously we disagree on things. Like there's certain times that we don't see a certain thing the same way, but we're able to talk through it in a relatively reasonable manner. But that's the thing. Is like if one of us has a problem with something, usually that then we talk it through until we're both on agree with it, because that usually ends up making it better. We're not just going to be like, no, your idea is fucking stupid. I'm doing what I want to do. Like we make sure that we are both going to be on board with what we're doing.
They do say don't go into business with your friends or family because it has a potential to blow that shit up.
Yeah, but you just don't take anything personal. With you and I, it's a chain of command thing. Yeah. If you're directing, I may take you aside and mention something, but if ultimately...
And I may tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah, and then that's...
Which is some of the most fun. It's like, go fuck yourself.
Go in the corner.
It's, I don't know. I think Josh and I are pretty lucky in that regard. I mean, we are different personalities, but I think where it counts, we're the same. I think that we generally, Josh was saying, we see things the same way, and in a deeper way than just our taste in movies. It's very important to us to treat people well and respectfully, just kind of all the basic things that that could potentially destroy a friendship, and often does. Luckily, we just don't seem to have that many problems in those areas. And whenever an issue does come up, it is usually I know where we're different, that's where it helps, because I have a lot of deficiencies that Josh is very good at, and he complements those very well. And so together,
and vice versa.
And so,
where do you
kind of help each other through our problems?
Where do you compliment? Where do you compliment my deficiencies? I'm waiting for some two-way street here.
We have deficiencies in the same exact areas.
No. I don't have any deficiencies.
Well, we hate paperwork. This grant stuff is horrifying me right now.
I don't hate the paper. You keep using that word.
Yeah. Whatever.
There are things that you're not good at, and just because you're not good at it doesn't mean you hate them.
Highly dislike.
Yeah. Well, you highly dislike.
Avoid at all costs.
You highly dislike. I don't.
Oh, okay.
I'm just not. We're just not, predisposed to being good at. Like some people are just naturally good at marketing. Like those people that are like, "Hey, I'll just send out an email, and 30,000 of my closest friends will do whatever I ask them to." I don't have that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were the writer, director. You acted also.
Yeah, I act when required.
When required,
not all
okay.
the time. Yeah.
So how did you? So was your part like a medium part? You weren't the lead. You weren't the lead, or were you?
I was one of the leads. Yeah.
Okay, so
I was in a lot of the stuff, but.
Well, how do you do that? How did you direct your first feature and act in it at the same time? Directing a feature film is, stressful enough. Now you're standing in front of the camera and you're not really like back there watching it all with the director's eye view. How did you work that out?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, some things. When you're dealing with that many things at once, some things fall through the cracks. Like there's whatever it might be, shots that I think, oh, I wish we'd done this, or a line that I think, oh, if I was behind the camera, I would have caught that awkwardness or whatever. But for the most part, a lot of it is just depending on the team that you hire, and trusting them and trusting their judgment. And a lot of that just came from a lot of prep work ahead of time. Like our director of photography, I worked with on my thesis at USC. So we got to know each other that way really well. And we had a lot of prep time on this movie to really come up with the shots so that when things went wrong or schedule was, shortening, we could roll with the punches a little bit. So it was tough. I think the main thing that was tough was actually everything around the actual shooting. It was more like you'd like to be on set early with everybody else getting ready for the day, but instead you're getting makeup and hair done, and you're just like, oh my God, I just want to move and do that. Yeah. But on set, it actually, in a way, and I've heard this from other film directors who've acted, that it helps being with the actors, because a lot of times, for whatever reason, there is kind of a division between actors and crew. It's kind of like, okay, actors can go off in their trailer and crew's working, and even like restrictions and laws are different. But being in scenes with the actors, it gives you more camaraderie as the director, but also allows you to push them more, because if they see you going through some crazy shit, they can't really, refuse to do it whenever you ask them to do the same thing.
They have to get in there and leave some blood on the floor with you.
So whenever I was writing it, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but I gave myself some of the more taxing stuff of, like dying in a creek and being really cold and whatever else. I'm covered in blood most of the movie, so I inadvertently, I think, made my role more miserable than the others in a lot of ways. But I think it helped the other actors, because they'd see that I was willing to do that, so they'd be willing a little bit more to go through the ringer.
Okay, so last question before we wrap it up. You have, there's two questions, but here's the first one. You're in an elevator with somebody who knows you're a filmmaker and says, I want to make a movie. What is your one piece of advice to get, about making a movie? Like, it could be anything from wear comfortable shoes to whatever, Yeah, don't all go at once. But come on, hurry up and come up with your one thing you're going to say in the elevator.
I mean, my go-to is always, if you want to make movies, then go make movies, because you and that was why we started Mr. Pictures. Like, you can't just wait around for somebody to come and be like, "Hey, I heard that you might want to make movies. Here's a script and some money. Do this." Like, it just doesn't happen that way. If you want to do it, you just have to go do it. And you're only going to get better at it by making them. And obviously you want to learn the craft and, work with people that know what they're doing as well. But you have to start somewhere. So just start. That's
Yeah, I tell my students and people who have graduated and gone off and other filmmakers, they're like, well, how do you do it? Because, I mean, it's hard to imagine that people admire us, but sometimes we run into people like, man, you guys stay busy. You guys are working on it. What do you, and it's like, look, man, you cannot get hung up on making your first film perfect. You're going to go out there and fuck it up. Your first one's going to suck. Maybe, probably. Mine did.
Unless you're Jordan
not everybody's like Paul Thomas Anderson and like their first film was like Hard 8 and then their second film was Boogie Nights. I was like, it just doesn't, it just doesn't like always go that way. But yeah, you just go, fuck some shit up like we were saying before. Like make it. And I don't know, and I have to remind myself that sometimes, there's a level of thing you can do, and it's just got to move the ball down the field a little bit each time and try to do better than you did last time.
It's just baby steps. And the thing is like now it's so much easier than it was even like 10 years ago when we were kind of starting to get into this a lot more seriously. I mean, now you can pick up an iPhone, you can just and you don't have to like do everything all at once. Just start like, okay, I'm going to make a couple like little short things and learn how to frame a shot and learn how to light a scene. And you don't need tons of crazy expensive equipment to do that. If you can learn how to do it on a smaller level, it translates up to being able to do it. Just you get cooler shit to play with.
Yeah. Like the Alexa Mini.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, David, what about you?
It's a little bit related to what we were just talking about, which is just be a cockroach and outlast everyone because because you're I mean, it really is like I mean, I remember distinctly, being bright-eyed and bushy-tailed going into USC film school, 10 years ago, almost exactly to the day. And everybody goes in and the world is your oyster and everything else. And then gradually reality starts hitting you and you become more jaded for various reasons. But you start seeing just people either leave school or even right after that just decide to do something else. You just start seeing that. And I would imagine it's like this for any job that you work at for years and years, is that you just see people stop doing it. Obviously there's age involved, but if you can outlast people, that's most of it. It really is. Like, most people just don't have the patience for filmmaking. It's so hard and it takes so long to get it done. And as we were saying before, there's so many things that can go wrong that can just break somebody's spirit or will. And if you can get through all of that, you're part of the tiny percent that has finished a film. I wish there were statistics out there that said how many movies have been started and how many have been finished, because I would imagine that percentage is so small. I can't imagine how small that percentage is. Because I know so many people who have a script, or even haven't finished one. They just started one. How many people even have finished a script? It's just like it's diminishing numbers as you get further in that process. And I think that, like I said, if there were numbers to back me up, I think they would say as much as just keep pushing through as much as you possibly can, and you'll be part of that tiny percent that made a movie. I tell people it's just as hard to make a bad movie as it is to make a good movie. It takes just as much work, effort, gumption, like willpower. Like, sometimes the good ones there's something mad, they're touched and they come together they come together easier somehow. It's like everything just kind of fell into place for this one, and it was also good. I've worked hard on shitty movies before. I was like, short films, like, we fucked this up. Like, we worked so hard on it though. But I also tell people it takes epic stubbornness. You have to be epically stubborn to push it through.
Yeah.
Almost delusional.
Delusional. Yeah. You got to live in this fairy tale world where where things happen, where good things happen. So, okay. So, where do people see your movie? When is it coming out? Is it VOD? Is it what's happening? And how can people find out more?
Gosh, I mean, pretty much anywhere. I mean, it's on VOD on over 100 platforms. So I got Vudu, iTunes, Amazon, It's actually on Blu-ray and DVD, so you can go to Best Buy, Walmart, all those places, and you can even rent it. I know Family Video has it. It's in a bunch of libraries across the country too.
That's awesome.
It's not that hard to find if you spell Bullet right.
If you spell it right, yeah.
Right. So
how do we get that deal? That's what I want to know.
How surreal is it, guys? Honestly, though, how surreal is it? You guys are, made a movie. You got people drunk. They financed your film for you. And now you wake up one day and your film is like everywhere. It's like a filmmaker, an indie filmmaker dream. You know what I mean? So how does it feel? Does it feel good? Do you feel proud of it? Do you ready to go on to something else?
It's a little of all of that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that we were just like in the trenches for so long with it, and you almost forget a lot of times to take a step back and be like, this is really cool what we've just done. And I think that moment really that moment happened a few times. But the first time it happened was when we opened in theaters back in October. We had a deal with AMC Independent. We opened in about 10 cities, which that was just like
that's fucking cool.
Mind.
Like,
did
you come to?
It really was fucking cool.
Were you in Orlando? I would have loved to see that.
We were not in Orlando.
Okay,
no,
that's where we are. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Orlando doesn't really get any cool stuff until the last minute, and it's here for like a week because everybody only cares about Disney shit. Like it's touristy stuff. Like we get like Vox Lux, like is the one I can think of right now. The Natalie Portman film that came out, and she was like real small thing. It played for one weekend, and by the next Friday it was already out of theaters. So I got lucky and caught it. And I know that if I don't catch it quickly, it could be gone. It was gone by the next week. So it's like I'm constantly frustrated. I don't live in a big metro like Boston or like who's where again? I'm sorry.
I'm in Boston.
You're in Boston and LA. It's like you guys get things. At least particularly
we grew up in Evansville, Indiana, so you're just kind of like not anywhere in the same vicinity as these big cities in terms of what you get to see. I don't think I knew what a foreign film was until I was in college. To see the same things But yeah, it's funny. Like when you finish a movie, like Josh was saying, you do have to constantly pinch yourself, however successful or not successful it is, as long as you finished it, because finishing it is just such a slow process. It's like when it's done, it doesn't feel like it's done. You just kind of said, well, I guess now we can export it and burn it on a DVD. I don't know. And now you just kind of upload it to Vimeo and say, okay, put a password on it and see what happens.
That's
so
really
it's such
cool.
a slow process. Yeah.
Well,
we need to interview these guys again soon, because there's like 3 different things that I want to ask. Okay, how did you do that part?
The answer to everything is get people drunk. That's it.
Yep.
That's perfect. Yeah. If I get him drunk, he finally shuts up. So
I don't think this ever happened.
I don't think it's ever happened. No, because when you get drunk, you're really fucking annoying.
Because I'm more talkative.
Yeah, way more talkative than I want you to be.
All right. So where do people find you?
Yeah, you guys, like, can they individually on Twitter, social media, stuff like that?
No, we are, but we're not very active that way. Honestly, we just kind of do everything collectively on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. It's just at Mr. Pictures Film, and pretty much everything that we do kind of funnels through that. It's sort of our cohesive way of doing it.
We don't have a social media team, so if you talk to Mr. Pictures, it's one of us. So.
Yeah. That's how we are. Us too.
Yeah.
If you talk to
we are us.
We are us. So
anything that's offensive, Josh wrote it.
Yep.
That's the same thing with him.
No, it's you.
I'm talking about tacos and meditation. What else do you want? What else do you want? Guys, well, like I said, as filmmakers, like, congratulations. Like, even before having seen your movie, I just think it's like great. I like hearing like indie filmmaker success stories where you guys decided to do it and just did it and it worked out. Like, that's great. So congratulations
Thank you so
on
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Do you have anything nice to say, or you just?
No, I guess so. MrPictures.com, is that where we go?
MrPictures.com, right?
Yeah. We've got a website. MrPicturesFilm.com. Yep.
Okay,
right, awesome.
Mr. Pictures.
Well, if you want to contact us, we are filmreverypodcast@gmail.com. I'm Becca Meyer on Twitter and Instagram, and he's Balding Ewok. If until next time, yeah, it's great. Everybody loves his name. Like my name's just my name. Like his is Balding Ewok. Do you want to show him why?
They can guess.
We can use our
I can deduce why.
Okay, good. Until next time, go make something, and we will see you on the other side.
Word to your mother.
Cut. Film Reverie Podcast is a production of Super Mega Ultra Entertainment and is produced by Michael Beckemeyer and Bradley Kingston. If you're enjoying this podcast, please be sure to leave us a 5-star review in iTunes. And visit filmreverie.com to listen to past episodes, and be sure to click like or subscribe wherever you find us. That's it for this time. We'll see you again next week with another episode of Film Reverie.